Okay, so we've got quite a bit to unpack today
We do.
with Bob Camblin. I mean,
Yeah.
you've given us quotes,
Right.
you've given us some biographical details,
Hmm.
and some reflections on his work.
Yeah.
So, where do you think we should even start?
Well, I think it's important to start with the fact that Bob Camblin, as your sources highlight, was a pretty enigmatic guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, his work was just so varied.
Yeah.
Oils, acrylics, watercolors, drawings, prints. He even did these really unique painted paper things.
Wow.
And I think what makes him even more fascinating is how difficult it is to find his work.
Yeah, the scarcity just adds to the mystique.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, looking through the quotes you provided and thinking about your interest in impermanence, this one really stood out to me. Fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years, perhaps. It's like he's acknowledging the desire for permanence, but then undercutting it with that little twist at the end.
Yeah, it's almost like he's saying, hey, we all want things to last forever, but let's be real here. 10 years might be all we get.
Right, like a gentle reality check.
Exactly.
And then there's this one, which I thought would be right up your alley, given your love of connecting different perspectives. Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both. It's like he's saying the pursuit of knowledge, whether through science or something more mystical, leads to a similar place.
What I love about that quote is how it just blows apart these rigid categories we often create between different ways of seeing the world.
It's like he's saying there's no separation, really.
Yeah, like at the core of it, whether you're looking at an atom or exploring magic,
Mhm.
you're engaging with the same fundamental human need to understand.
And the fact that he places philosophy and art at the heart of both of those pursuits is really intriguing.
Absolutely.
And it connects beautifully with his idea of the perfectly average view, which you mentioned in your notes.
All right.
He talks about this intensely bright gray where science and magic meet, a way to enjoy miracles on both sides. It's like he's encouraging us to find a middle ground, a synthesis of different ways of knowing.
It's not about settling for less,
No, not at all.
It's more about expanding our vision to encompass both the rational and the intuitive,
Exactly.
to appreciate the wonder of a scientific discovery, but also be open to the mystery of the unknown.
And speaking of the unknown, this quote really jumped out at me. The sixth sense is to be, without a doubt, senza dubio. No doubt. It's like he's equating intuition with a state of absolute certainty.
Yeah, like that gut feeling we sometimes get.
But he's taking it a step further, suggesting it's not just a feeling, but a deep inner knowing.
Right.
And that makes you think about the role of doubt, doesn't it?
It does.
Is doubt a necessary part of learning or something we need to overcome to reach a higher level of understanding?
I mean, it's a question worth pondering, for sure.
Now, I was also struck by these two quotes, which seem to be pulling in different directions. Bright day, and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth and yet. And find something in nature that completes you, and then surrender. On the one hand, there's this longing for transcendence.
All right.
But on the other hand, there's this call to find grounding and connection in the natural world.
What I see in those two quotes is the tension between our human desire to reach beyond our limitations and the reality that we are, in fact, very much a part of this earthly existence.
Yeah.
It's like we have this urge to soar, but we're also tethered to the ground.
So maybe the key is to find a way to soar while still being grounded.
Maybe so. Maybe
Wow.
it's about finding that balance, that integration between our spiritual aspirations and our physical reality.
Now, this next quote is a bit of a doozy, but there's so much packed into it. The light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe in the balance, patience, and yet freedom again, and yet in silence the reality can be maintained. In the reality, the pain that I move away from, true love moves to indifference to protect itself. Where do we even begin with that?
Well, let's try to break it down.
Okay.
First, he's emphasizing our inner resources, that light within
Yep.
us. He's saying that's all we truly need.
Okay.
Then he's giving us a clear goal, a purpose to evolve.
They're doing our best.
Exactly.
And how we achieve that is by intensifying our efforts, believing in what we're doing,
Mm.
and finding a balance between, well, everything, really.
Patience and freedom, action and contemplation.
It's like he's saying life is this constant dance between opposing forces.
And then he adds this interesting idea about silence being a key to accessing a deeper reality.
A reality where maybe there's less pain. And then that last bit about true love moving to indifference to protect itself, that's a bit of a head scratcher.
It is, but maybe it speaks to the ways we try to shield ourselves from potential hurt, even in the most loving relationships.
It's like love can be so intense it needs to find a way to regulate itself.
Maybe so.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about his views on art.
Okay.
You highlighted this quote in your notes. Art is not just images. Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake. It seems like he's commenting on the evolving role of art in society.
Yeah, I think he's recognizing that art is no longer seen as this separate, purely aesthetic realm.
It's become more integrated into our daily lives.
Exactly.
Whether it's giving us meaning, helping us cope with challenges, or even serving as a means of survival.
Right.
Art has become more essential, more functional in a way.
I think that's a really insightful observation.
And speaking of insights, this next quote is full of them. Step off the train of thought to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing, balancing and being for and against. We missed the clouds, and for a moment regretted it. Then as lightning, the mind ripped out in flashes of variations to reach the still pond.
Wow.
That's a lot to unpack. It is, but there's so much richness there.
I know.
Okay, so first, that image of stepping off the train of thought, that's so powerful.
It is.
It's like he's saying we need to break free from our habitual ways of thinking to access something deeper.
To tap into a different kind of power, a way of working that feels effortless.
And then that final image of the mind reaching the still pond, it's like a moment of sudden clarity, a breakthrough.
It's like all the noise and chaos have settled, and we're left with this sense of peace and understanding.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image. Now, on a more practical level, there's this quote that I think offers some real wisdom for anyone struggling with creative blocks or overthinking. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think. It seems almost paradoxical, but there's a certain logic to it. It's like he's saying, don't get stuck in your head when action is required.
And on the flip side, don't just act impulsively without any thought.
Yeah, find that balance between thinking and doing.
It reminds me of those Zen principles you were talking about.
Exactly. Being present, focusing on the task at hand.
Without getting bogged down by doubts or distractions.
Speaking of presence, Camblin had a real knack for observing the world around him.
He did.
Like this quote, for example. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves, sun-heaty air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First, white, then yellow-green, and in deep shadows, blue. It's like he's experiencing the world on a molecular level.
It's so vivid and detailed.
You can almost feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. And then he gives us this Act 1, the White Mountains Act 2, the Cold Wind Act 3, the lightning we leave before the show is over. It's like a snapshot of a fleeting moment.
Yeah, almost like a scene from a movie.
But then he cuts it short. Like he's lost interest?
Or maybe he's just recognizing the transient nature of experience.
Maybe we don't always need to see things through to the end.
Maybe the beauty is in the moment itself.
That's a great point.
Now, I also wanted to touch on his views on communication, because he had some really interesting things to say about that.
Like what?
Well, for example, he said, much better than arguing is to look at my watercolor palette.
That's very Camblin.
Right. Like he'd rather contemplate and create than engage in conflict.
Exactly.
And then he made this distinction, which I thought was really insightful. If you argue or if you agree, you may learn, but you do not communicate. It's like he's saying learning can happen even without true communication.
It's like you can exchange information, but not necessarily connect on a deeper level. Yeah, like there's a difference between talking at someone and talking with someone.
And then he gives us this gem, which I absolutely love. When you end an argument with a pessimist, you say, you're absolutely right. With an optimist, you say, it's a banana.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's like he's acknowledging the futility of trying to change someone's deeply ingrained worldview.
Like sometimes it's best to just walk away.
Or throw a banana into the conversation.
Right, like why even bother?
Exactly.
Now, this next quote takes us into the realm of the unknown, the search for meaning. The gate stays open, the fence is broken. He keeps searching, but does not know the size of his quarry. Yet he has faith. He looks in all directions. If he could only see all around all at once. It's like he's describing this ongoing pursuit, even though the goal is unclear.
It's like he's saying we're all searching for something, even if we don't know what it is.
And even though we can't see the whole picture,
Right.
but the search itself is what matters.
The journey is the destination, as they
Yeah.
say. And sometimes the most profound discoveries come from those unexpected detours.
Now, on the topic of change, Camblin had this to say. Revolution leads to changes. Evolution is change. The first will be man's misunderstanding. The second is understanding. The balance will be found in our minds. Individually now, perhaps collectively later. It's like he's distinguishing between superficial change and deeper, more meaningful transformation.
Yeah, like revolution is often driven by a desire to overthrow the existing order without necessarily understanding what will replace it.
Whereas evolution is a more gradual process based on adaptation and understanding.
Exactly.
And he seems to be saying that real change happens on an individual level first, before it can manifest collectively.
That's a really interesting perspective.
It is.
And it makes you think about the role each of us plays in shaping the world around us.
Absolutely.
Even small changes in our own thinking and behavior can have ripple effects.
Now, we also see hints of a possible haiku influence in his writing with these examples. 6 starlings sitting among broken branches. Look, no buds are growing, and there, beneath those rocks, poor fish, trapped by the changing tides. So much like us. These short, evocative pieces capture a lot in just a few words.
They do.
It's like he's finding profound meaning in the simplest of observations.
And connecting those observations to the human experience.
Like the trapped fish, subject to the whims of nature.
Just as we are.
Now we're going to shift gears a bit and dive into some of his more surreal and symbolic imagery.
Oh.
For example, he said, "It wouldn't be so bad to come back as a fly if you knew your body would shine in the sun that way." What do you make of that?
It's a bit whimsical, isn't it?
It is.
But I think there's a deeper message there about finding beauty in unexpected places.
Even in something as small and seemingly insignificant as a fly. And then there's this. Bleached, textured and white, to taste and sight. Pray ever, avoid the lamp fate canvas rectangle. Summer light, calligraphy, mystic and complete. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
There is.
I see it as a meditation on the essence of art. The bleached, textured and white could represent the blank canvas, the potential for creation.
And the lamp fate could be a metaphor for the dangers of overexposure, the pitfalls of the art world.
Yeah, like being consumed by the spotlight.
And then the contrast with summer-like calligraphy suggests a more natural, more authentic way of creating.
More spiritual approach, perhaps.
Possibly.
And that question at the end, mystic and complete. It's like he's pondering whether art can ever truly achieve a state of perfection.
It's a question that has haunted artists for centuries.
Now, this next quote is a bit of a whirlwind of images. Eater of Christians, Chimera Byzantium warm, cold children's chair, San Gimignano, calamari to oblivion, strange ways of magic, fragile grayed lady, now tiptoe, now skirts high, sidewise, hasty retreat. It's like a stream of consciousness, a glimpse into his subconscious.
It is, and it's difficult to interpret, literally.
Yeah, but I think that's the point.
It's more about the feeling it evokes.
The sense of mystery and intrigue.
The way the images collide and create this strange, dreamlike atmosphere.
And then there's this fall, wax and feathers, flowers of burning petals, raw Icarus. The Icarus myth, of course, is about ambition and its consequences.
The fall from grace.
The danger of flying too close to the sun.
And that image of the flowers of burning petals is so striking.
It is.
It captures the beauty and tragedy of Icarus's flight.
Now, we also see a more introspective side of Camblin in this quote. This egg in brown leaves has a great secret of mine, that nothing changes. Ragged wheels of silk, minuscule dragons observed by Buddha spiders. This dragon never lived on paper or flowers? Well, perhaps next time. It's a mix of observation, fantasy, and a bit of melancholy.
I love that image of the Buddha spiders observing the minuscule dragon.
It's so whimsical and unexpected.
And that final line, well, perhaps next time. It's like he's acknowledging the limitations of his own creative efforts.
Or maybe he's just expressing a sense of hope, that there's always another chance.
Maybe so.
Now, these next few quotes are like fragments of memories or dreams. Blue pictures pulsing, the faded image breathes once, the tattooed hand waits, and purple canals, golden palazzi. The rain muffles her crying on longboat. Memory of summer walks, I hear this is gone. They evoke such strong emotions, such vivid imagery.
They do.
I see longing, sadness, and a sense of the ephemeral nature of time and memory.
It's like he's capturing these fleeting moments, these glimpses of beauty that are gone as quickly as they appear.
And then we have this, which feels like a direct address to his own creative struggles. The painted eye sees more than mine, and God damn it, I see nothing. Yet, this strange device, whirled by a figure of my mind, a beautiful dance. It's raw, it's honest, and it captures the frustration and wonder of the creative process.
It does.
It's like he's saying the artwork itself has a vision that he's struggling to grasp.
But there's also a sense of awe, a recognition that the creative process is something magical and mysterious.
Yeah, it's a beautiful struggle.
It is.
Now, these final images from this section are a bit darker, a bit more unsettling. Gargoyles gargling water from Gothic churches. You missed me that time. Off the shore, fragments of a memory are found. Bones of Icarus, hammock facing west, fingers knit to block the sun, become burning twigs. The Icarus motif reappears, reminding us of the dangers of ambition.
It's like a warning, a cautionary tale.
And the final image of the burning twigs is so visceral, so intense.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that even in our moments of relaxation, there's a potential for self-destruction. Or maybe it's just a metaphor for the intensity of his focus, the way he burns with creative energy.
That's a good point.
Now, shifting gears a bit, I wanted to touch on his thoughts on memory.
Okay.
He had this to say. Nostalgia, like guests and fish, shouldn't be kept too long. The dredging of memory should only function if it serves to jog the archetype crevices of the reptilian brain. It's like he's saying there's a purpose to memory beyond just reminiscing.
It's about accessing something deeper, something primal.
Yeah, like tapping into our subconscious, our instincts.
And he's warning against dwelling too long in the past.
Right, like nostalgia can be a trap.
It can.
It can keep us stuck in a cycle of longing for something that's gone. Now, on the topic of the artist's role in society, Camblin had this to say. The artist today is the only free agent. He is not committed except so much as he desires it. It's a pretty bald statement.
It is.
And it speaks to his own sense of independence, his rejection of societal expectations.
He's saying the artist is beholden to no one but themselves.
And it's interesting to consider this in the context of his later nomadic lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It's like he lived his philosophy. He
Yeah.
was a true free spirit. And he also had this forward-thinking idea. We may be moving to a participatory type of art, which seems almost prophetic given the rise of interactive and collaborative art forms we see today.
I know.
It's like he could see the future.
Maybe you could.
Now, he also offered these rather concise definitions. Religion. Belief. If I believe in ghosts, I don't have to see one. If I believe it's art, then it is. If I believe that I am completely manicked, then I can't be convinced I'm not. And art, if experienced, no description is necessary. But often making out is confused with love, and feeling good is not always art.
Those are both so interesting.
They are, and they speak to his emphasis on the power of individual belief and experience.
Like with religion, it's all about faith.
Yeah, if you believe it, it's real for you.
And with love and art, it's about the genuine experience, not just the imitation or the superficial.
Exactly.
And making out might be enjoyable, but it's not necessarily love.
And feeling good doesn't automatically make something art.
Right.
There has to be something more, something deeper.
I agree.
Now, we also see this recurring concept in his writings. Resist and submit, held in perfect balance, figure 4.
It pops up again and again.
Yeah, and he offers different variations on it, like 4 times into the thing and 3 times back again, stay out the last if lucky. It seems to be a metaphor for some kind of cyclical process with an element of risk involved.
Like a dance between opposing forces.
Exactly.
And figure 4 could represent any number of things.
Maybe it's the creative process.
Or relationships.
Or even life itself.
I think it's open to interpretation.
But the key takeaway is that there's a balance to be found.
Between pushing forward and letting go.
Between taking risks and knowing when to pull back.
Absolutely.
Now, along those lines, he offered this advice. Don't let the demon of being right get in. Flow and think of what you are doing, not what you plan to do. Step off the train of thought. We've heard that step off the train of thought idea before, but it's worth repeating.
It is.
It's like he's saying, don't get so caught up in being right that you lose sight of the creative process.
Or the joy of creation.
Exactly.
Embrace the flow, be present in the moment.
And don't be afraid to let go of your preconceived notions.
Sometimes the best ideas come when we least expect them.
Speaking of preconceived notions, Camblin had a rather strong opinion on artistic madness, which he felt was often romanticized by historians.
He did.
He said, historians love artistic madness when it isn't alive and well and attending meetings. It's like he's saying it's easy to romanticize mental illness when you're not the one dealing with it.
It's easy to see it as a source of creativity when you're not the one suffering.
And he offers a more constructive alternative. We can train ourselves to open instead of close the circuits of perception. It's like he's saying we can expand our awareness without resorting to self-destructive behaviors.
It's a more empowering message.
Now, he also made a distinction between believing and knowing, saying, most people practice a belief or a religion. They were raised in mystics, know something else. They remain connected to a faith or abandon it, but they have been somewhere, and logic won't make the trip. One must look for the balance of intuition and logic.
That's a really interesting distinction.
It is.
It's like he's saying there's a difference between inherited beliefs and a more profound experiential knowing.
Like, mystics have had direct experiences that can't be explained by logic alone.
Right.
And he's advocating for a balance between intuition and logic, not a rejection of either.
Exactly.
On the topic of creativity, he stated, we all are creative, but we lose our magic in understanding everything instead of knowing. What do you think he meant by that?
I think he's saying that our over-reliance on intellectual analysis can actually hinder our creativity.
He's like, we try to explain everything away, and in the process, we lose that sense of wonder and magic.
That spark of inspiration.
And he gives these seemingly paradoxical instructions. Draw, teach, search, reveal, always framed in paradox, and calls to return to a naive approach to art. We have been seduced by history, critics, and a very affluent but weird culture.
It's like he's saying, forget everything you've been taught about art.
Unlearn what you think you know.
And approach it with a fresh perspective, a beginner's mind.
And he has this rather scathing critique of art critics. A legless man who teaches running.
It's a pretty vivid image.
It is, and it highlights the disconnect between theory and practice.
Like someone who can talk about running but can't actually do it themselves.
And he emphasizes the innate need to make marks before weapons need and enjoyment as children letters and numbers from pictures nonverbal in a time of many words. It's like he's saying art making is a fundamental human need, a form of communication that predates language.
It's an instinct, a way of expressing ourselves before we even have words for our thoughts and feelings.
Now, he also talks about different types of drawing. Action experiment drawings for discoveries on paper, slow analytic drawings for discoveries in the world, and conceptual drawings for the discoveries in your mind, emphasizing drawing as nonverbal.
I think that's a really useful framework.
It is.
It shows how drawing can be used for different purposes.
Exploration, observation, and visualization.
And all of it happening outside the realm of language.
Now, he also speaks of finding one's own mystic switch and the importance of not to look but to see and try to fail in order to succeed.
Those are all about expanding our awareness and embracing the creative process.
Yeah, like finding that inner source of inspiration, that mystic switch.
And not just observing the world passively, but really seeing it.
And not being afraid to make mistakes, to experiment.
Because sometimes our greatest successes come from our biggest failures.
Now, on the topic of writing, he had some interesting thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
He said that it started as nonverbal communication, and that our syntax inhibits concepts that are not logical and linear, encouraging us to recreate recreation.
So he's basically critiquing the limitations of language.
Yeah, like the way our grammar and syntax can box us in, make it difficult to express non-linear ideas.
And he's calling for a more intuitive, more playful approach to creation.
Like a return to that original nonverbal way of communicating.
And he also talks about the importance of allowing the Zen mind to facilitate hunches and inspirations, contrasting it with seeking too hard.
It's like he's saying, sometimes the best ideas come when we're not actively trying to find them.
When we're relaxed, open, receptive.
And he gives this advice, which I think is so important. Resist learning. Learn to fail. Learn to relax. Learn to feel. Learn how to really think.
It's like he's challenging the traditional notion of education.
Yeah, like memorizing facts and figures.
He's saying true learning is about experiencing, feeling, failing, and thinking critically.
And he follows that up with this. I didn't learn anything new, but I know a lot more now. It's like he's saying knowledge isn't just about accumulating information, it's about deepening our understanding of what we already know.
It's about connecting the dots, making sense of the world in a new way.
Now, he also had a playful side, often twisting familiar sayings to make a point.
Oh yeah, he loved to do that.
Like this one. We have nothing to fear but fear ourselves. It's a reminder that our greatest fears often come from within.
Our own anxieties and insecurities.
And he had this interpretation of Zen teachings about being the Buddha but forgetting. This is the way to see the world, but after you see it, you must forget it and return to your old world. But you will never forget.
It's like he's saying enlightenment is not a permanent state. It's a glimpse, a flash of insight.
But even though we might forget the experience, it changes us.
It leaves a mark.
Now, on the topic of mirrors, he had this to say. Mirrors are not magic. They just seem to be. Everyone is a mirror, and that is magic. Laugh, laugh, laugh. What do you think he meant by that?
I think he's talking about the interconnectedness of all things.
Like the way we reflect each other.
Yeah, like we can learn about ourselves by observing how others react to us.
And he finds a kind of magic in that reflection.
A sense of wonder and humor.
Now, he also differentiated between magic for power, which he saw as negative, and magic for seeing, which he saw as positive.
It's a distinction between using our abilities for selfish gain versus using them for understanding and enlightenment.
And he connected intellectual and magical seeing to art and understanding. It's like he's saying art is a way of seeing the world through a different lens, a lens that allows us to perceive things that might otherwise be hidden.
And that kind of seeing can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
And he also noted the deception inherent in real seeing and defined art as the partial retention. What do you make of that?
I think he's acknowledging that our perception of reality is always filtered through our own experiences and biases.
And that art is not about perfectly replicating reality, but rather capturing a certain aspect of it, a fragment of truth.
Exactly.
Now, he was also aware of the challenges of being an artist in a world that often values novelty over substance.
He commented on the disposable art culture, the artist's dilemma balancing technique and novelty, and the freedom of anonymity.
It's like he recognized the pressures of the art market, the need to constantly produce something new and exciting.
And he also saw the value in working outside the spotlight, free from the constraints of fame and recognition.
And he briefly touched on the popularized yin and yang mandala and the symbolist's view that explaining something kills it.
It's like he's saying sometimes the meaning is lost when we try to overanalyze or intellectualize it.
Like the mystery is part of the beauty.
Exactly.
Now, he also acknowledged the paradoxical nature of communication, saying, communications? How wonderful and how sad.
It's like he recognized the potential for both connection and misunderstanding.
Yeah, like communication can bring us together, but it can also create distance.
And he expressed his hope to mix fun and art, which I think is a lovely sentiment.
It is.
Like he wanted to make art more accessible, more enjoyable, not so serious all the time.
Now, as he got older, he seemed to become more reflective, more accepting of the passage of time.
He talked about the influence of passing years and the importance of different intentions and diverse forms in art.
Like he was recognizing the evolution of his own artistic vision.
And the value of different perspectives and approaches.
And he introduced the standard sign against the sunset as a symbol understood only by a specific Weibi, highlighting the limitations of transferring knowledge and feeling.
So he's saying some things can't be explained, they can only be experienced.
And those experiences are often shared within a specific community, a group of people who understand the meaning without needing words.
Exactly.
Now, we also see this stark, almost desolate imagery in his later work. White crystals, white salt, white wing, white bones, dry feathers, dry flesh, dried rocks, dried sand, dead bird, dead lake, dead sand, dead land.
It's a pretty bleak picture.
It is.
It speaks to themes of mortality, decay, and the fragility of life.
And the repetition of white adds to the sense of emptiness and barrenness.
It's like a landscape stripped bare.
Now, on a more practical level, he offered this advice. There are no mistakes. You are doing the best you can. And mistakes are nature's way of telling you to trust your instincts, or the next mistake could be really bad.
It's a surprisingly forgiving perspective on errors.
It's like he's saying, mistakes are inevitable, and they can actually be valuable learning experiences.
As long as we learn from them.
And trust our gut instincts.
Exactly.
Now, he also had a playful habit of twisting familiar sayings, like this one. Pride goeth before a fall, which he reinterpreted in various ways.
Like pride cometh after a fall.
Right.
Or pride goeth before success.
Pride goeth before a rise and a fall and a rise and a fall.
It's like he's challenging our assumptions about cause and effect.
And encouraging us to think more critically about the way we interpret the world.